What's up, you guys? Steven here for Off the Shelf Movie Night to talk to you once again about physical media, about Blu-rays and 4Ks, and the way we like to buy and own our movies and TV shows. If you're a collector or you want to be a collector, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you stay up to date on all of my postings, and let's talk. Hit me up in the comments. My favorite part about this, and the reason I do it, is for these conversations because, you know, not everybody in your family or around you is a collector. I mean, my experience is most of us we're pretty singular individuals. So it's singular. I mean, I guess it's singular and individual, same thing, but singular in our world. There's not a lot of us, so it's great for us to get out here and on YouTube and have a conversation. Another place to get me very often is TikTok. I post a lot of short form videos over there. So hit me up, OTS Movies on TikTok. And then if you want to see how things are going with my Pushing 100 project, the project where I see 100 films in theater in 1 year, the best place to do that is on Letterboxd under Culture Smash. I tend to post updates there and little snippet reviews of the movies I'm seeing in theater as I see them. So that's all the socials, that's all the business. Now let's talk about what I have here. I have so many pickups, you guys. I have so many pickups to show you. That I'm going to break it across 2 videos because I don't like to run so long on single videos. So I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2 unboxing. A lot of this stuff I won't be opening live with you because I've already opened it, because I've been on a bug on the pandemic lockdown here. So I've been watching stuff as it's been coming in because desperation to do things. So some of these things are already open. So anyway, let's get into this. I'll just show you the first half right now. The first thing I got, so I participated in, the reason I have so many pickups right now is I participated a little bit in a lot of the sales. And one of the things I participated in was the Kino Lorber sale. Here's some Kino Lorber stuff for you. First thing I got, and I did watch this, is The Day After. This is a 1983 made-for-TV film that also had additional footage shot for it for theater, for a cinema release, and you've got both versions, the theatrical and the TV release. The theatrical release is slightly longer because of the additional graphic footage that's in there. It's not really that graphic at all. It's just graphic for TV. Much like when we were in the heart of the pandemic and everyone was watching Contagion, with war happening in the world the way it is right now, this is something that's on the mind. And this movie, if you haven't seen it, again, was made for TV in 1983, and the movie, this is a very goal-oriented movie. What this movie wanted to do was to show not just our country, but all the countries, anybody that would watch this movie, what the world would potentially be like were there a nuclear war. And it does this in pretty graphic detail for a TV movie. It's melodramatic, as TV was in the 80s and that kind of thing, but it was also, pretty effective. Even now, all these years later, it's pretty damn effective. This movie was directed by Nicholas Meyer, who you may or may not know also directed Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, another movie that I love. This is not a happy movie. They try to be as realistic as they can, so be warned. It's dark. Subject matter is dark. It features a lot of actors from TV from that era. Notably, Steve Guttenberg, in one of his earliest roles, is here, I believe. I mean, I don't believe he's here. I know he's here. I believe it's one of his earliest roles. He's actually titled or credited as Steven, before he shortened his name, Guttenberg. Anyway, if you're interested, this is a pretty inexpensive purchase. This is a very inexpensive purchase when I bought it as part of the Kino sale. So I also picked up Nightmare in Bedham County. This was a cold buy for me, but I am a big fan of 70s era grindhouse movies, especially, well, not especially, but I like subgenres. And one of the interesting subgenres is sort of the women in prison kind of thing. Probably made most notable by Caged Heat, but there's a lot of those films in that subgenre. Here's a funny thing. This was also made for TV. There are 2 cuts of this movie also. There's a theatrical cut here, and apparently what happened is once the movie was made, they started to feel like that they really had something here that they could do more with than just show it on TV. So the production company went back to the director and said, would you be willing to shoot some more edgy scenes to add into this and take it to theaters? And it's an interesting conversation with what his response is and what they end up doing. As a bonus feature, is an interview with the director on here. So again, there are 2 cuts, and it's really funny because the stuff that they the stuff they shot extra to put in theater, it stands out. You'll see it. You'll know it right away. But this very much fits all the tropes of that this type of movie. You have a couple of girls are traveling cross country. They get mixed up with the wrong cop, who is played by Chuck Connors, which was another thing that drew me to this movie. Is he did a TV show like maybe in the 50s, a black and white TV show called The Rifleman. Did a lot of TV movies and that kind of thing. And then somehow in the 70s found himself into horror films and grindhouse films, which is fascinating to me. He's in one that I love from that era called Tourist Trap, and he's creepy in that movie. So I just wanted to see him here too, and he's, a complete douchebag in this movie. I actually really enjoyed this movie. If you're into that kind of thing, there's a lot of social commentary of the era in here embedded within the gratuitous nature of the film itself. As is common with this subgenre of film. All right, I haven't opened this one yet, but I will be opening it soon. I was lucky enough to get to see this one in the theater. Again, this came from the Kino Lorber sale, and this is called Film Worker. Film Worker. Let me see if I can get this open really quick. So Film Worker is a 2017 documentary about Leon Vitali. He was a British actor who found himself working with Stanley Kubrick, first as an actor and then as basically an assistant, a co-filmmaker, a producer, basically everything. He worked with Kubrick until Kubrick died, and still continues to work with Kubrick, really, because he's sort of become the curator of Stanley Kubrick's films. No one understands Kubrick's films, appreciates them more, or treats them with more reverence than Leon Vitali, and this is his story. Where he went, how he began working with Kubrick, and where he is now. What was left after Kubrick passed. It's a fascinating film. As I said, he continues to be a curator of Kubrick's films. If you go and look at the 2001: A Space Odyssey 4K, it is stunning, and this is the guy who restored it frame by frame. So I love movies about movies about making movies about filmmaking, that kind of thing. So I had to have this one. I saw it in theater, loved it, and I'm just thrilled to finally have it in my collection to revisit on occasion. So a lot of us know Park Chan-wook as the creator of the Revenge trilogy. Those are amazing films, but no one seems to be talking about this film anymore. And this is his riff on the vampire film. I don't want to talk too much about it. I'll show you the back if you want to freeze it up and read it, because if you haven't seen this film, I don't want to spoil it for you. I was lucky again to get to see this movie in theater, and it's Park Chan-wook. It's beautifully shot. It's a little melodramatic in a few places. It's comedic, and it's scary. Very, very good film. Again, I got that for a great price. This one was not part of the Kino Lorber sale. This one was one that I got for a good price on Amazon, and I had it earlier but forgot to show it to you guys, and it's VFW. So when it first came out, everyone was getting it. Initially, I think the Blu-ray, and then the 4K came out and everyone was getting it, and I'll be honest with you, that artwork there just didn't do it for me. That VFW, the name didn't do it for me. I thought, well, this looks like crap. It looks like garbage movie. It looks like those $5 Walmart horror movies or those Dollar Tree horror movies I see people picking up. And if you love those, that's great. I'm happy. But it's usually not for me. So I passed on it, but then, it has such a cool cast, and the 4K went down to $7. It has Stephen Lang. It has William Sadler and Martin Kove and Fred Williamson. It has George Wendt also. So I just thought, let me just try it for $7, because everyone's saying that it's good and it's a 4K. First thing about this 4K, It is 4K resolution. There is no HDR. So you could show this to me and tell me it was a Blu-ray, and I'd probably believe you. I'm just going to say that. It is not a good 4K. But it is a fun movie. I mean, this reminds me of Original Gangsters or one of those kind of things where it's just a bunch of old dudes who are forced out of retirement back into being badasses. Basically, the film, and it's also like a combination of Original Gangsters and Assault on Precinct 13, because basically these guys are all, pinned up inside of VFW, and they've got to fight, the Warriors essentially. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Now, what I didn't know is that this is a Fangoria produced film. It's Fangoria and Dark Skies, I think. So the effects are practical. So there's a lot of bloodletting in this movie, and it's over the top, gory, and just fun to watch. And George Wendt being an old school badass. George Wendt was in the TV show Cheers, right? He was Norm. So not expected. Fred Williamson is doing his Fred Williamson thing here, and so is Stephen Lang. It's entertaining. It's an action movie. It's low budget, lo-fi, but it's a lot of fun. I recommend this movie. You don't necessarily have to have this 4K. I don't know that it's that much better than the Blu-ray that's out there, to be honest with you. Get what you can, what you feel good about paying for. Fun time. Now, let's wrap this up. Let's bring this baby to an end with some really cool steelbooks. First up is the Heavy Metal 4K steelbook. Heavy Metal is a movie from '83 that is based off the Heavy Metal magazine, which is, a combination of horror, science fiction, and very hot girls, very beautiful women. It's an anthology, basically, and we have so there's Heavy Metal on 4K, and then there's Heavy Metal Blu-ray, and then there's Heavy Metal 2000, which was a sequel that's okay. It's pretty fun, actually. It's pretty good. That's only in Blu-ray. Sad, because that Heavy Metal 2000 probably looked pretty good in 4K, to be honest with you. Anyway, it's an anthology. It's a handful of short science fiction stories all tied together by one story element. And you got to remember, in 1983, this was a pretty big deal animation-wise. And the styles vary a little bit, so you get to see some different approaches to animation and that kind of thing. It's over the top, it's ridiculous, and it also has an incredible late 70s, early 80s heavy metal soundtrack. So if you're into any of that kind of music, even if you're not, it fits the film well. It's just a ton of fun, and this is a really pretty steelbook. Now to a couple of things I haven't watched yet. We have The Green Mile. This is the Stephen King story adaptation. I haven't seen this since theater. I really loved it in theater, and I can't wait to revisit. I think the steelbook is okay. It looks a little bit better if you can kind of see the whole thing. I know my image is dark here, there. How about that? It makes the whole jail, and then there's a little bit of them running there. Not much in the way of art on the discs, but very excited to have this 4K. I hear it's a pretty decent 4K. Honestly, I probably had I not been able to get the steelbook, I would have waited, because I feel like this is something on Black Friday in 4K that you'll get for $10, kind of like Shawshank Redemption. But since the steelbook made itself available online, we grabbed it, and no regrets. No regrets. And the last thing I'm going to show you is my number 2 film from last year in a steelbook, and that is Nightmare Alley. Very subdued matte finish artwork, a little bit of disc art there. There we go. It's a very cool steelbook. Let me take these discs out so you can see the inside. Now, I haven't watched the movie again yet. I know it's on HBO Max, but this is a movie that deserves the full 4K treatment. But what I have done is looked at the bonus features. There you go. Pretty nice. That's pretty cool. What I will initially say is I'm annoyed that there is no director commentary on this disc. How do you do a movie that's on this level production value wise and storytelling wise and not have a director commentary. What the hell's happening? This should absolutely have a director commentary. The only thing we get are some featurettes, but I'm very, very happy to have those featurettes because one of the things that sets filmmaking apart, like actual cinema filmmaking and sorry about that rattling there, cinema filmmaking and Netflix or streaming movies apart, is the level of detail and work that goes into production value, like to building real sets and building real props and the wardrobe and that kind of thing. If you look at a movie or a series like The Mandalorian, for example, nothing, they build the costumes. Yes, there's some costume work done and it's beautiful, but everything is a projection map thing. It's CGI backgrounds and that kind of thing. These featurettes show the crew going to an empty field in Canada and building this entire carnival set. You know, I thought even in the theater as I was watching it that surely some parts that are deeper back in the background were probably CGI or matte painting, or, you know, no one really does matte painting anymore, unfortunately, but probably some CGI background. But no, they built it all. They built it all. You know, they even muddied the ground, covered the ground in hay, and then ran pipes under the ground so that they could push real steam, not CG, real steam up off the ground into the sets. It's beautiful. When you watch this movie, you really feel like you're there, and this is why. So I love to at least have these featurettes in my collection to be able to revisit them when I revisit the movie and bask in the glory that is real cinema, that is real movie making. Because it's going away, guys. Everything is going to CGA and green screens, and it's very, very sad. Okay, that was just round one of my pickups. Just round one right there. I've got a whole other video to do. In the other video, spoiler alert, has some really amazing boutique pickups in it. So you want to be around for that. So if you haven't subscribed and turned on notifications, do so. Until next we meet, pull something cool off the shelf, share with your friends and family, and remind them why physical media is the best way to watch films and TV. I'll see you guys on the next one.